Hello, so my name is Hiba, and today we have an alumni of Electronics and Communication Engineering who passed out in the year 2014. So we have Mr. Sudharshan here, who is a student of Mr. Rajiv Menon. He's a cinematographer. So hello, sir. So instead of myself explaining about you, I think it would be better if you tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Sudharshana. I graduated from Crescent Engineering College in the year 2014. So I pursued my electronics and communication engineering over here. But the fact is that I have not ended up being an electronics engineer. I have ended up being a filmmaker as of now. So after finishing my course in the college, I went ahead and I did my course at filmmaking at Rajiv Menon's Mindscreen Film Institute. And so then I'm a filmmaker as of now.
So so as you were telling, you were an student of the Electronics and Communication Engineering department here in Crescent. So can you elaborate a little bit about the EC department here?
Okay. When I had pursued ECE over here, trust me, it was not an easy thing. It definitely was a very challenging thing. ECE is not a really easy job to do. So, but the thing is, when I was doing ECE, I wasn't much concentrating into the fact that I was doing ECE. I was rather much focusing on to doing filmmaking and photography. But after I finished my course in ECE over here and then ended up starting my filmmaking career, that's when I realized filmmaking, the background, the behind the scene of filmmaking is all about electronics and communication engineering, how digital images are being processed and how image processing happens in a large scale, and how production is done in a large scale. So that's when I actually realized electronics and communication engineering is huge, and I've been very grateful to have been in a very streamlined path, knowingly or unknowingly landing up taking electronics and communication engineering in the first place and then going towards filmmaking. So it definitely is a worthy thing, being a filmmaker and not just trying to be more creative and trying to be more as a technical person also, which brings a lot of perks along with that. So I'm happy about that.
Okay, so one thing on my mind is what stirred you in the direction of cinematography?
So cinematography, when it comes to cinematography, the base idea which I got interested and which I fell in love with basically was capturing the images the way my eyes kept seeing it. Being in Vandoor, I'm seeing a lot of greens and a lot of colors all around me, and then whenever I take my phone out or my CyberShot camera, which was Sony at that point, whenever I used to take my camera out and then click a picture, the happiness was seeing the same image being reproduced in the camera, which at that time was much more of a magic trick. And that kept the interest alive in me, and I had to go behind that always. And then I was so happy that I was going behind that. But on the later stages, I realized that it's not like a gimmick to go behind that, but I need to know a lot about how this trick was made to happen, how things work behind all of this, how the sensors worked, how all the image processing had worked, how the image got saved, how the color is reproduced exactly, what exact latitude ranges we used to work, and all that. So that was something very interesting. And to be very precise, when I was in my third or fourth year, I started to go one step ahead and start using technology in a way to reproduce images. Started using Photoshops, started using a lot of different instruments in the name of gimbals, and a lot of 3-axis 4-dimensional stuff, and 3D cameras and all of that, and GoPro also ended up to be one among those. So when technology kept growing, the interest in being more creative grew in me in a lot of ways. And then that was one of the things which kept me going and which still keeps me going ahead and ahead. So that is it.
So yeah, so not everybody knows, ECE. From what I can understand is that ECE actually helped you to know a little, more about cinematography. Not not many people know that you study engineering, and if you take cinematography, nobody links it with that.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about that?
So, as I said in my previous thing, when I took up electronics and engineering, communication engineering, ECE, I literally had zero idea if I would be ending up in a filmmaking field. All my interest was only towards more of taking pictures and seeing the colors being reproduced, capturing the action at the right point. A bird is flying and then we capture the action at the right point. That was much more interesting than telling the fact that yeah, I was involved into ECA and technology drove me more and more. It was the images which actually what I'm trying to say is it was a visual representation that caught my eyes in the first place. And then I slowly started thinking, yeah, I need to know the aesthetics of how things worked in the background. And when I started going with filmmaking, that's when I understood something, that filmmaking is not just being creative. It is being more technologically being creative. You use a lot of technology in the present day and still try being more creative. An underwater photography or an underwater cinematography wouldn't have been possible if they haven't come across with certain things which conceal the camera in a way that no water went inside the camera. So all this is kind of like a technology, and image processing is one of the toppest technology which cinema industry uses in a lot of ways. Not just cinema industry, every day in consumer products also. For example, you take an iPhone X or any other iPhone, there is a lot of image processing that's happening in the background. We hardly know anything that's happening. The recent apps like UCams and then a lot of other face detections and face blemish removal scan applications and all that, all these things are basically ECE, and I can't see a future ahead without any electronics and communication. In fact, filmmaking wouldn't have been existing right now without electronics and communication engineering. So electronics and communication engineering played a big vital role, and I knew this only after I started learning what cinema was all about, and not just being a person who was like, yeah, I want to tell 10 to 15 number of stories and all that. So for example, if I want to say Bahubali or Interstellar or Inceptions, these are certain movies which were not made just because they were being creative. It's because some other person behind it was technologically very strong. They were technically very, very innovative, and that's when creativity went one step ahead. Not just one step ahead, a lot of miles ahead. So that's how cinematography is much more interesting when it comes to technologies.
Yeah, so I think everybody here now can link EC with cinematography. So as a cinematographer, I know you would have faced a lot of struggles and a lot of failures, and right now I think you have overcome them, and then that's why you're here successful right now. So can you elaborate a little bit about the struggles and how you overcame all those struggles?
Okay, so after finishing my college and all that, going to Mindscreen Film Institute, the first big problem I faced was, trying to, letting people see me as a person, as not just a technical person, but also as a very creative person. So that was one of the big challenges I had to overcome. Although I have done a lot of college works and all of my short film works during my college times, the biggest problem I faced was, when I went to the creative field, they didn't want to accept me as a creative person because I came into this as a technical person. So once after I finished my ECE, they saw me as a technical person, and went into the film field. They don't want to see me as a creative person because I have not done anything creative. So that was my first biggest challenge, and then after that, the biggest challenge was me, people recognizing me as a person who's capable of doing all of this. So I had to keep doing. The key to be successful is one thing: you should be consistent. Let it be failure, let it be a success, need not take it to your head. You just keep going, you just keep doing things, be innovative, be creative, don't confine yourself with certain things, this, that, and all that. just keep doing whatever you're doing and just keep innovating new ideas. So that is one of the key points I would like to tell anybody who's being passionate out there, and not just being, a very technical person. Be passionate also about whatever you're doing, whatever in whatever field be it. So that's it.
Yeah, so before you go, just a small advice to our students.
Okay. The biggest or even the smallest, whatever be it, the smallest advice or biggest advice, the advice is keep doing whatever you're doing. Be passionate about whatever you're doing, and don't just do it for the sake that you want to do or you want to satisfy some person in this life, because it's not going to happen. At the end of the day, career is a very vital thing, and only if you take things to your passionate level, it's going to work. I'm not telling choose whatever you're passionate about. I'm telling whatever you're doing right now, be passionate and do that all from your heart. Don't do it just for the sake of doing it or for the money or anything. Be creative and give something to this world always. So that is one main thing. And keep working hard. Don't just quit on anything. Just keep working hard. That's it.
So thank you, Mr. Sudharshan, for spending a valuable time here, and I think you have opened our minds beyond cinematography, and you have given valuable inputs to everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.